This is a bit of a impromptu video, but I'm only 2 models away from finishing my Blood Angels Assault Intercessor squad. So you know what that means? Yeah, it's time to rant about them for a little bit. Honestly, they're one of those units that, particularly as a new player, which you guys know that I am, you're always going to bump into them. They kind of form the majority of the combat patrol box, right? And you've heard me say it before. Combat patrol is kind of like your great starting point for beginners. It's kind of like the starter pack DLC of Warhammer. But within that box, you get 1 Blood Angels captain. He's like your stylish boss man. You get 6 Sanguinary Guard. They're your angelic golden like number squad. You get 10 Assault Intercessors. I'm going to show you. Here's one I completed earlier. They're like your meat and potatoes of this box, and then you get 2 Blood Angels upgrades, because sort of like, what's Warhammer without the bit of bling, right? But what is the point in these boys? What's the point in Assault Intercessors? I think they're easy, really, for punching things really hard. Think of them as your boys for like counter charging. Perfect when something dares to touch your line. You want to slap it back into the warp. They are 5 points cheaper than your vanilla intercessors, but they keep the same durability. So sticking to that 5-man squad, I appreciate this isn't 5, I'm only painting them, it's totally fine. That said, leaning toward intercessors for like cheap shooting works. There's different tools for different jobs, right? The real juice against certain armies, I think they're good. They've got volume of attacks. They love countercharging. And if you're running successors with Whirlwind of Rage, they can start feeling a lot scarier than I think, anyway, people give them credit for. We're going to talk shop, though. It's why you're here, right? I am really interested to know how you play them, particularly because I'm still learning. Do you use them to complement a list? Do you build around them? Are you MSU or are you full squads? I personally and team multiple small units, because flexibility is king. And Blood Angels, like, they already want to stack lots of threats in your opponent's face. Which detachment are you using? What's your delivery options? I have so many questions. Blood Angels, they hate walking, right? I've learnt that quickly. So are you a drop pod kind of person? Are you like a rhino taxi? What deployment options are you using? What weapons? Predominantly, I mean, these guys were already pre-built, but predominantly you can see they've all got chainsaws, right? Just don't overthink it. They're here for that choppy, not shooty. I've got some plasma guns, big old fists too. Oh, don't crop that. Who have you got as your leaders? What's your stratagem synergy looking like these days? Just, I guess, anything that stacks attacks or charge reliability. Unbridled ardor for heroic intervention, or red rampage for, I guess, for like even more attacks. It kind of feels a little bit like WWE special moves. You want as many as you can pack in, really. So yeah, so I purposely haven't shaken these because, you know, for obvious reasons. They're not the flashiest unit in your codex, but they're reliable, cheap, surprisingly nasty if you line them up right. And I guess, like, they're like the good old dependable tag team wrestlers. Wow, we're on the wrestling analogies today. But when they hit the ring, they put on a show. Yeah. Right, here's the deal. Blood Angels players, I think for a long time, have always loved a good old melee. Who doesn't? But, see, WWE's come into my head again. They're basically, let's go with it. We're just going to roll with it. The WWE stars of the galaxy. They're flashy, they're aggressive, they're punching someone in the face with a chainsword, and for many editions, fans kind of wanted like troops choice, right? Your basic infantry slot that could fight properly in close combat and not just shoot from the back. That was, you know, right. Enter the Assault Intercessors. So in 9th edition, they finally showed up. In 10th, their battle line now. That's their, they've got a cute little name, right? It just means that you're, like I said, bread and butter, meat and potatoes, whatever you want to go with. They're cheap, they hit hard, they fit the Blood Angels vibe perfectly. Are they good at shooting? From my experience, no. Their range firepower, it's about as scary as a Nerf gun at a family barbecue. But in melee, I think they're bloody good. They throw out a ridiculous number of attacks. Like in certain formations, like the Liberator Assault Group, even a small squad can dish out like 25 attacks at strength 6 when they charge. So translation is basically lots of hard-hitting swings that can actually hurt tougher enemies. Plus, they get rerolls to wound. Now, this means it's kind of rare for Marines from what I've learned so far. And that, I guess, makes them like, for me anyway, even more kind of reliable. The fun part is the reroll bonus. It also helps any characters, I guess, who kind of like join the squad. It leads us to one of the Blood Angels like most iconic boys. And he's called the Smash Captain. He's basically like a Space Marine captain geared out to kind of punch way above his weight. Like a D&D character who's gonna like crit every single swing. He's been around in one form or another since like 8th edition, and the new version is an absolute unit. The usual recipe kind of looks a little bit like this. You've got 5 Assault Intercessors, probably with something like plasma pistols, and maybe a power fist. I've got one here. And then a captain with a power fist, like a relic weapon, and the rage-fueled warrior ability. A transport, you'll need one of those, usually an impulsor, like a cheap taxi, or a land raider, which is more like a fancy armoured bus. Can you see his power fist there? And then his, anyway, how does it work? Basically, you shove this unit into a tough enemy, preferably one holding an objective. These are like your important areas on the battlefield, and then you pop some abilities. So you've got rage fueled, like warrior. This gives the captain exploding hits. Finest hour also will give him like extra swings. Suddenly he's throwing out like 9 or 10 attacks, re-rolling everything, and every 6 you roll spawns like, off the top of my head, 3 more hits. Those also have devastating wounds. Now this means you're handing out like mortal wounds, like bloody Oprah giving out free cars when she used to do that on her daytime TV show. Why do I know that? Anyway, it's very, very Blood Angels, right? And that's not their only use, because you can take multiple 5-man squads and you can basically get them to like grab territory and then do these little missions. And if you're feeling a little bit spicy, roll a 10-man deathball with a captain and a sanguinary priest. And the priest then buffs them up to the AP -2, which is like harder for enemies to save against. Throw them out of a land raider and you're looking at like 50 melee attacks. Am I being dramatic? I don't think I am. They're backed up by characters, right? Few enemy units in the game can survive that many chainswords to the face. I'm telling you now. So yeah, Assault Intercessors. They're like a classic Blood Angels unit. They're not flashy. They're not complicated. They've got yellow helmets, for God's sakes. They're a pain in the arse, but they are cheap. They are reliable. And when they hit, they do hit really hard. They are the backbone of like your red armoured army. And honestly, they can be a beast to play. So a quick detour, because I did mention that Smash Captain, and he is quite cool, right? If you are a new Blood Angels player, maybe you are, I hope you are if you find my channel. He's basically just a Space Marine captain. He's kind of like kitted out to hit, I guess you could say, way above his weight class. Think of him, we're going with these WWE references today. It's where my brain's going. He's like the mid-carder. And then suddenly main eventing WrestleMania because he's got the best finisher in the game. He's cheapish, but devastating if set up correctly or set up right. Now, in the Liberator Assault Group detachment, you can give him, like I mentioned, rage-fueled warrior, and it's kind of like the secret sauce. It gives him a sustained hits 3. Oh, concentrate. Basically, every time you roll a 6 to hit, it explodes into 3 extra hits. Now, if you combine that with all the attack buffs that Blood Angels can actually stack when you think about it, you've got a captain who can like blender even through really tough units. And that's what I think makes this combination like a really tough sting. A tough sting. Someone asked when I was the other week when I was talking to people when I went to the Kent Major, someone asked if it would work better in Angelic Inheritors, which is like it's another detachment. And since that gives rerolls of ones to hit, that was like their logic for asking that question. And it was a really interesting conversation, particularly because people kind of the group of people that I was talking to kind of got into a conversation of like how it's nice, like S8 base strength. It's already solid. Rerolls of ones will keep him consistent. But really interesting argument was that the Angelic Inheritors Smash Captain doesn't really need Assault Intercessors, and that's kind of like the whole point of my argument is I would like to use them. This is purely because he's already re-rolling ones to hit and wound on his own, so sticking him in with the Assault Intercessors isn't going to offer you like much. I guess in lag though you could argue it is a totally different story. The Assault Intercessors re-rolls, they feed right into the captain's exploding hits. And suddenly you've got a chainsword wielding hurricane of like mortal wounds. It's one of those combos that it does look a little goofy on paper when you say it out loud, but when you pull it off on the table, it kind of feels like you're rolling a nat 20. I won't lie. And then when you've done that and you look over at your DM and their eyes twitching, it's one of those moments, right? The Assault Intercessor, hi. That's them really, I guess, in a nutshell. I don't really know what, oh, there goes my light. What great timing. What great timing. Because now my light's gone. We're sat in the dark. But anyway, that's them. I guess I kind of went on a little rant about the Smash Captain combo in a nutshell. They are not the fanciest boys in the Blood Angels arsenal, but they're dependable. They hit like a truck when you set them up right. And they've got that classic like punch first, ask questions later vibe. And that makes this army, for me anyway, so much fun to play. I guess whether you are running them as little like 5-man squads to grab points, or we're going with the WWE, right? Doing that pay-per-view with a Land Raider deathball and a juiced up captain. They've got a place, I think, in almost every list. Someone's going to argue with me, right? They are the backbone, the workhorses, tag team champs, you know how it goes. They might not get the spotlight like the Sanguinary Guard do, but they do always get the job done. And that Smash Captain, he's just the cherry on top. He's the kind of character that kind of makes your opponent sit up a little straighter when you say, all right, I'm going to charge him in now. And then you pull off that combo with the exploding hits and the rerolls. Definitely feels like Gandalf showing up at Helm's Deep. Oh, like I said, rolling the nat 20 at the perfect moment. It's silly, it's over the top. It's exactly why we love this hobby. Anyway, that's kind of just how I see it. But as I said at the beginning, really intrigued as to know how you're running your Assault Intercessors, MCU for board control or big squads for like maximum carnage. Please drop a comment. I do love to hear your lists, your combos, even your best bloody Smash Captain stories. And somebody new always finds the comment section really, really helpful. At the end of the day, Warhammer is just as much about kind of sharing ideas and stories and advice than it is just about showcasing models and trying to make them look pretty. So anyway, we're in the dark, so I'm only going to implore you one time to please do all those things you need to do to support my tiny channel, and I hope to see you in the next video.